So let us continue with the series of Albert Coe and his experience with Zret or Mr. X. And it's phenomenal how Zret goes into detail about their own belief systems and their ideologies and their own history of how they actually view life and existence and creation, as opposed to, our complex belief systems here on Earth. So let's delve deeper.
The next two questions. Do I believe in God? Where is heaven? Are far more difficult to answer, and queries that I could slow off in an affirmative vein, as both are based on half-truths. But my promise of complete knowledge extends to the limit of our advance in research, and although my explanation probably cannot or will not be accepted by you, it is one that I must resolve as a scientist. The inspiration roots of this theology are buried deep in an actuality of appearance and teaching of my predecessors here, so very long ago, but the evolvement of a supreme being and eternal life is a twisted version of natural phenomenon distorted by vanity of ego and a greed of power. You and I were born under vastly divergent philosophies, and as they have little or no parallel, will necessitate a sketchy outline and brief history of both. Ours, a simplicity in the beauty of life, and yours, a complex of compounded theoretical ideologies which seeks to combine the joy of conscious realization and oblivion into rational doctrine that embraces a theory of ethereal beauty in an everlasting land of plenty through the estate of death, truly a paradox. The basics in our philosophies glorify the supremacy of being as, throughout our lives, we strive to enhance this joy of existence in an unselfish realm of love that combines the benefit of science in a composite of mind and deed. This beauty of thought not only embraces the brotherhood of man, but widens to encompass all matter manifestation. For we also emerge from this same tiny segment of an indeterminate whole, and even though it gives an impression of unlimited boundaries, merely represents a minor pattern of this universal force, but each with its inalienable right to fulfill a fleeting design in a status of life. If a superior intellect can aid in the lot of those in lesser station, so be it. But if these entities reject or cannot benefit from an act of benevolence, they are left to pursue their own destinies, free and unmolested. An electronic survey of cosmic dimension discloses a magnitude of thousands of millions of light years, composing a chaotic cauldron of uncontrolled energy in unceasing, restless motion, and all the galaxies gradating to the suns and planets with their complement of inorganic and organic bodies comprise less than 1% of this energy mass. The formation of matter, at best, is merely a random association in the attraction of energy opposites whose building molecules create the unstable structures that we recognize in the objective. But energy and matter are in a constant state of interchange, and this endless transition of one into the other identifies the phases, in your terminology, of life and death. Life spans are as varied as the untold millions of forms that have been represented in this category. Some microscopic bodies complete a full cycle in a few seconds. The mayfly simulated in the dry fly that we used in our fishing today matures, courts, mates, reproduces, and returns to this oblivion of disconnected elements in a day. You are probably familiar with the differing ages that insects, birds, animals, turtles, etc. achieve as we go upwards to billions of years for planets and suns. But through chemical decomposition, erosion by friction, or failure in a body's electronic fields to assimilate this energy of animation, all inevitably revert to the gases of constitution, and many of these gases are reconstituted, perhaps not in previous pattern, but in some station of matter. In this primal law of negative, positive, and interchange, you will find the seed from which man of earth has invented his illusions of supernatural beings and of spirits dwelling in a paradise of eternal life, through a God's love and compassion, if positive, or condemned to the tortures of a negative hell. As science further breaks down theory into relative components of truth, we are confronted with an irrefutable fact of creation that places the premise of a discerning God, creating a cosmos and dispensing his gift of life, in a rather dubious light. For in this vast conglomerate of energy and matter, there is one glaring deficiency. This elusive property is the emotion known as love and compassion, and probing of many thousands of years, which stretches back far, far beyond my predecessors' emigration from their own solar system, can only pinpoint this emotion and its characteristic of action in the one infinitesimal composite element defined as the brain. It reaches a certain predominance in the human brain and is present, though in minor station, in the brain of all lesser animals. To simply explain this ancient quest of its origin, a deep probe into the atom was instituted that eventually uncovered the secret in the attraction of atom to atom. In the motivation of this coalescence, a great eagerness is displayed in a system of a higher energy content to give up part of this energy to a system of lower energy value, and although it only resolves as a geometric equation of physics, containing a minute spark of intelligence without emotion, but in this act of interchange, a merging was discovered, not only the initial impetus that requires billions of years in evolutional refinement to raise the cultural essence now present in the brain of your races and mine, but also the very root which creates the impelling desire of male and female to mate in all plant and animal orders. A moot question of research arises regarding the type of organic life and its mental capacities in the various solar systems, whose suns differ from our own, and many peculiarities are noted. We have recorded electronic vibrations and frequencies which establish the fact, beyond any reasonable doubt, that on the planets of a number of these suns, life, materialization does exist, but in structures composing compounds other than those from which our life cycle stems, although determination of form, etc., cannot be established. Fixed structural codes are not an indelible stamp of universal order, nor are they interrelated from solar system to solar system, except in a compound's procedure of evolutionary formula, and these adaptations generally confined to a specific solar system's boundaries. The conformation of its myriad life complexes dependent on the type of sun, its position in the galaxy, and the galaxy's perimeter location in relation to the nucleus as it spins in its 223 odd million year cycle of rotation. This revolution of the galaxy may be compared to the Earth's 24-hour rotation in relation to the sun, but each hour of Earth's time standard would span several million years in the galaxy's timetable. And, just as on Earth, conditions change in the progress of this motion, but in far greater scope than the alternating light and darkness, temperature and climatic fluctuations that become part of an ordinary Earth day, representing its one rotation in relation to the sun. Even the violence of an occasional earthquake, volcanic eruption, blizzard, or hurricane that appear in isolated instances are as a summer zephyr to a tornado when comparing the awesome compulsions that the nucleus exerts on the planets of all solar systems in various stages and positioning of one galactic revolution. During certain phases, it wrinkles a planet's surface to draw up tremendous mountain ranges or allows them to erode into low rolling hills. It triggers one major or two minor glaciation periods, and its uneven pressure of pulsating energy, teaming up in assimilation by a sun, influences drastic temperature oscillations. It interferes with normal storm tracks, causing either overabundant rainfall or extended periods of drought, and in some cases, completely dehydrates a planet. In the past, it has sucked the two outer planets from this solar system and was the very prime mover in the fragmentation of a third. In fact, the very existence of a planet and its life cycles are dependent on the whimsical reflexes between nucleus, galaxy, and its specific sun. Under these ever-shifting conditions, develop the myriad cycles that appear on a planet as life, through energy grouping into molecular structures that take root in a then harmonious environment. But as upheaval, temperature, and water diversification nullify these optimum tolerances, many species reach a point of extinction, and the adversity that causes the extinction of these orders becomes an acceptable environment to newer cells that bud and embark on their paths of evolutionary refinement, or to some previous orders with the ability to readopt. But generally, this adjustment creates a marked change in structural form and characteristic. Outside the bacteriological and minute plant and animal complexes, there are exceptions to this overall picture. In the larger animal, as some very ancient direct line species have defied the ravages of time and still persist in original form, but most are confined to water or spend a major part of their lives in water. By far, the older of these living fossils is the curious little character that is often tossed up on the beach as he grubs the bottom under tide waters for worms, etc., and commonly called the horseshoe crab. Actually, he is not a crab, but a venerable ancestor of the branching spider clan, and reached his peak of evolvement as he is today, more than 2 galactic revolutions ago. A half-galactic revolution later, the turtle appeared, and shortly after, the crocodile, and, except for some structural adjustments on head, jaw, and breathing apparatus, lives today in unchanged form. As we jump ahead another half-revolution, we encounter the shark and plesiosaur, the mysterious sea serpent of sailors' tales, and just beyond midway of this last galactic cycle, in the jungle of the prolific dinosaur, the odd little platypus, now found in Australia, evolved as one of the early forging links between reptile and mammal. This unreeling panorama of test, trial, error, discard, and reform are as convolutions in a rotating kaleidoscope of ever-changing pattern, color, and design. But the atom inevitably strives to raise its newer manifestation above a preceding species in a refinement of form and brain, which has led to the aforementioned peculiarities in solar systems. Even patterns of compatible suns, for instance, our two of basic carbon compounds, are not identical for thousands of plant and animal orders that have gained predominance on your planet during the past 700 million years, never appeared on our original planet and vice versa, although many are similar.
So it's actually extraordinary how Zret explains that we go through the seasons and the cycles here on our planet, but he says that this is actually mirrored and reflected in each level of existence. So the same with our galaxies and most likely other universes as well. They go through these seasons, and the galaxy depicts and determines what actually happens in our solar systems. And then, of course, as a domino effect, that affects our sun directly, and then our sun, according to what's going on out in the galaxy, responds in a way that then directly affects us. So it's a real domino effect. What's happening with our sun is a result of what's happening in the galaxies, and what happens in the galaxies is a result of what is happening in the universe, or universes, I should say. But we're talking about a complicated area of quantum physics and quantum mechanics that I don't know if anyone really understands on this planet, but I'm sure someone in existence absolutely understands those laws of physics and the real ultimate laws of cause and effect. Hope you enjoy. Until next time, may you be blessed by the supreme truth and love of the cosmos and radiant creator.